able to get him on today. We've managed to get through to his agent. He said he hasn't got, anything scheduled with TNT or Sky or anything like that. He's been a very busy man. So, yeah, he's back on the channel. How are we, sir? How are you?
I'm good. And you guys should know, right? I've always got time for the little people, yeah?
Yeah.
No matter how big time I am, no matter how in demand I am,
serious.
I never forget my M30 roots, yeah?
Yeah.
Mainly because I still live there.
Yeah.
So I've always got time for you lads. Actually, it's role reversal now, actually. I think with your latest subscriber announcement, it's and the amount of subscribers I've lost in the last 24 hours by criticising Jim Ratcliffe. I think it's you that's doing me a favour.
Did your agent write that, or did you do that yourself?
Yeah, I prepared a statement.
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah, I won't be making a further comment on this time. At this time.
Listen, welcome back to the channel. There's been a lot that's happened in the last 24 hours, you could probably say. Strong comments from Ratcliffe, which I know you've gotten into yourself. Statements from United. Tuchel getting England. Well, he's already got the England job, but an extension on the England job. Frank sacked. Deitch sacked. I mean, it's literally all gone off. Just a normal day, right, for Mr. J. Motty.
It's mad, isn't it? It feels like it has been a very busy sort of 48 hours. Like you said, with Thomas Frank going, and then today, Dyche going. Last night, obviously, the comments by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and as you mentioned there, Thomas Tuchel signing a new deal, which I'm kind of relieved about, to be honest with you, because I was a bit underwhelmed by the prospect of Thomas Tuchel. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I quite like him personally, but
and it mad as well, because I was underwhelmed, and you can be overwhelmed, but can you be just whelmed?
I was whelmed at the West Ham game.
Whelmed, yeah, I was whelmed at that.
That's probably
okay.
The best. Yeah, it was just like,
yeah. So maybe that's good. That's a good example of being whelmed. But with Tuchel, I think that on paper you go Champions League winner, Champions League finalist PSG, I think, Bundesliga winner with Bayern Munich, League 1 winner with PSG, and I think you won a cup with Dortmund. But then you look at the last few years, and the time at Bayern worries me a little bit, because I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, because you know more about this kind of thing than I do, but didn't he win the title on the last day because Dortmund basically drew with Mainz? So
he lost didn't he lose or draw?
Yeah, they needed to win, and it was a winnable game, and he didn't.
Wasn't it Bellingham's last game at Dortmund?
Yeah, but he was injured, wasn't he?
Oh shit! Yeah.
He was on the bench, or he was not on the bench. He was injured, and then they lost the title the next season. So I think was that the Leverkusen season?
Yeah.
So not great, similar to that for Bayern Munich standards. And he did okay in the Champions League. I think he got to a semi, I want to say, with them. But again, took Harry Kane off and did some silly things there. So not great. Also, you go back to Chelsea and go, well, that won the Champions League. And even when he got sacked, I think people looked at it and go, it was Todd Boehly interfering. But he kind of felt like it wasn't really great at Chelsea. Like after that Champions League win, there'd been this sort of just chaos, and that might not be his fault. It might be, the clear blue, whatever they're called, people that came in and took over and had all these insane ideas about playing 4-4-3 and buying Ronaldo and all the rest of it. But yeah, I don't know. With Tuchel, I feel very much like you're going to get him in for 2, maybe 3 years, and he might win something. But is he the guy that's going to really get United going again? I'm not so sure he is.
Sam, after Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments, I don't think he might be going for Southgate. You never know at this rate. Some
FC,
interesting comments in there. I know you wanted to dive into that.
Yeah. Like, Jay, I know you don't like to get political.
You know me.
Much like myself. Both quite left-leaning, I would say. I've been quite outspoken on my political sort of affiliations and the way I see things. Nick, understatement. Ratcliffe's comments, obviously, I think caught us by surprise, quite a lot of us. Like, I don't think any of us thought he didn't think that, because he's a 76-year-old billionaire. Like, so I think we all know what he thought, but saying it out loud is a different thing. I took it quite personally, because like my girlfriend is the daughter of immigrants. Like you've got people on the channel who are like family from immigrants. We all know people who are affected by stuff like this. Do you think this is a deal breaker for Ineos owning United, like as United fans, like trying to stay united together when there's something like such a dividing comment and such a dividing statement from the owner of Manchester United? Or is it just something we have to sort of park to the side and just concentrate on the football?
I don't agree with what he said, obviously, and I think it was ridiculous and it wasn't true and it was unnecessary to say it.
Yeah.
And it's just all a bit bizarre. And, now you've got to the point where fan groups are releasing statements. The club are releasing a statement. I mean, it's not helped anyone. It's certainly not helped Manchester United Football Club. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe needs to remember that he might be the richest man in Britain or one of them and owner of Ineos or whatever, but he's the Manchester United co-owner. He's someone who's going to be judged and looked at through the glasses or through the prism of Manchester United Football Club. And his words matter, and they matter to the Manchester United fan base. And they'll probably matter to people who work for Manchester United as well. So, yeah, I don't think it did anyone any favours, to be honest with you. Is it a deal breaker? I mean, there'll be people that just don't like Sir Jim Ratcliffe anyway because of some of the decisions he's made, cutting staff, cutting the Christmas bonuses, things like that. Some of his political views were kind of out there. We know he was a big fan of Brexit. And I'm not saying, just because you voted Brexit or support Brexit, every United fan's going to hate it. There's United fans that voted Brexit.
Yep.
I get that. But I think that what I'm getting at is there will be people that didn't like him anyway, and that this has probably just amplified that. Is it a deal breaker? Are fans going to be like, right, get Ineos out now? This is a step too far. Probably not, if I'm being honest. I don't think it is going to change anything in terms of whether Ineos remain at the club or still part of the club or anything like that. One thing that annoyed me, there's a lot of things that annoyed me about the interview he gave last night or yesterday afternoon, whenever it was, wasn't just the inaccurate nonsense about immigrants colonising the UK, which we all know is just drivel. It was also this almost sort of victory lap about how well Manchester United are doing now and how his plan is working. And I think this is a plan. Your plan, right, if I'm getting this straight, as Ineos, was to interview other people for the manager's job once you took over, keep the manager you already had, give him a new 1-year extension, sack him 3 months after you give him a new 1-year extension, wait
after
3 months
spent 200 million as well.
After spending 200 million, wait 3 months to get Dan Ashworth, pay Newcastle compensation to get him, then sack him as well because you're going to bring in a manager he didn't want. Bring in the manager that Dan Ashworth didn't want in Ruben Amorim, who plays a system that doesn't suit the squad that you've got and refuses to budge from that system. Then a year later, sack him and bring in Darren Fletcher for a couple of games, then bring in Michael Carrick. That was your plan after we've been knocked out of both cups, by the way. That was your plan.
And finished 15th in the league.
Yeah, along the way, and lost the final to Spurs. This was the plan that you sort of set out to do and were seeing the fruits of that labour? Or did you just stumble to a sort of position where Michael Carrick came in and basically turned things around from his own ability? I don't think he should be doing victory laps just yet, sort of commenting on how well he's doing or how his plan's coming to fruition, because we don't know that it is. Yes, the results have been better, and yes, we're in the top 4, but I feel that's almost by luck rather than design. So that annoyed me a little bit. We've seen that from Jason Wilcox, haven't we, when Ruben Amorim won 3 in a row and it's like, look, everything's going great. This is what we planned for. And I'm like, just slow down. Let's take stock at the end of the season. And even if we finish 4th, right, which is, good, I don't think it's, as United fans, it's a let's get the bunting out. We got knocked out of both cups in the first round and finished 4th after spending 250 million and sacking a manager. Like, it's a good season, but it's not one where you go, our plan is working, look how wonderful we are. And that's if we finish 4th or 5th, perhaps, if that's Champions League. So I think he just needs to slow down a bit on that front.
It's also a season where every other team is shit in the bed and just not playing well. So that's why we have a free run at it. Otherwise, maybe we wouldn't be in contention for top 4.
It's a great point, because sometimes in a title race, you might have like 3 teams that are in it up until sort of February, March, and then 1 will fall away and it just becomes 2. This season, it's just mainly City and Arsenal in it. Villa have done okay for a bit. Chelsea have been a bit like us, up and down. Liverpool have been having one of the worst title defences ever. And Manchester United haven't really taken advantage of that. I mean, we have more recently under Michael Carrick, but every time we could have got into the top 4 under Ruben Amorim, when you look at that run where we had Bournemouth and Wolves and West Ham and Everton at home, I don't think we won any of those games. So we haven't taken advantage of that. We haven't really had a season where you go, this is mint. What has been mint is the last 4 of the last 5 games under Michael Carrick, where the players have turned up. He's got a tune out of him, and it's just been, it's been pretty good. So, I just feel that Ineos have got a little bit carried away. And I think that if Ineos are going to say, look, we're making these tough decisions, laying off staff, doing things that people don't necessarily like for the greater good, then you wait until you've achieved something football-wise before you start patting yourself on the back. And so far, we haven't achieved anything.
You mentioned the statement that Manchester United put out. For anyone who hasn't seen it, the live viewers, it's on the screen. What did you make of that? Because it just, for me, as soon as I read it, it was kind of like just on the defense. Like it's not necessarily saying, oh, we don't back what Sir Jim Ratcliffe saying or not. It was kind of just like, oh, by the way, we still do these things. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read it yet or whatever, but what did you make of the statement?
I thought it was a bit ridiculous. Honestly, I thought, for starters, you're not addressing what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said. You're not saying, following the comments by our co-owner or minority shareholder or Manchester United, would like to remind everyone or whatever. I don't know, wording it better than that. But you're not actually saying this is because of what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said. Yeah. You're just saying, hey, look at how many black friends we've got.
Yeah, basically. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to.
Look, we had a party for the disabled. We've got some gay mates.
My best mate's fucking,
it was just so cringe.
Yeah.
And there was one line in it particular that that sort of stood out, and I just thought, what are we even doing here? Let me just find it. Sorry. I'm trying to find the words.
I can read it out for you if you want me to read the statement.
Yeah, I think it was on the second part of the statement there.
Our diverse group of players, staff and global community supporters reflect the history and heritage of Manchester, a city that anyone can call home. Since launching All Red, All Equal in 2016, we've embedded equality, diversity and inclusion into everything we do. We remain deeply committed to the principles and spirit of that campaign. They are reflected in our policies, but also in our culture, and are reinforced by holding our Premier League's advanced equality, diversity and inclusion standard. That's a part of it, of course.
I've got one here that, and this isn't mocking anyone other than Manchester United, by the way. Why they put this part in the statement is beyond me. So they said, we have also celebrated our supporters clubs events, including our Disabled Supporters Association's Christmas party. What are you on about? What are you on about? Why have you put that in there? For starters, so you should, right? Yeah, you should be doing those things. I don't think you deserve a pat on the back. And secondly, what has that got to do with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
like bizarre, it just comes across as ridiculous. It's so tone deaf. They'd have been better off saying nothing, in my opinion, because I don't think this statement has done anyone any favors. It's not done the club any favors. It's not done Sir Jim Ratcliffe any favors. I don't think it's done the fans any favors. I think we're all just like, you're making us a bit of a laughing stock. So I just feel that statement was rubbish. I thought the apology was rubbish, the non-apology, which was like, I'm sorry if you're offended, which is just never an apology, is it? That's just basically saying.
I love that. I'm sorry that you didn't like the words that I said.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's almost saying, I'm sorry you're such a snowflake. Yeah. That is basically what it said. And then there was a but I was almost, but I was right to say them kind of thing. So there's that statement and non-apology by Sir Jim Ratcliffe didn't help anyone. Neither did the statement by Manchester United Football Club. And I just feel the sad thing about all this is I go back to that word unnecessary. We're in the stage now. We haven't got a game for over a week. We've just be coming off a good run. Even the draw at West Ham, which was a little bit disappointing because it wasn't, another win. But even that was a last-minute winner by a striker that probably needed that goal, even though he's, I know he scored a few recently, but it helped him. So even that's, there's positive aspects to that. And instead of talking about football and looking forward to the game against Everton and the break we've got and trying to make the most of it and looking at where we're standing in the hunt for the Champions League spots, we've had this sort of distraction of our co-owner saying some nonsensical things and then the club feeling they've got to address it somehow and then doing so in a pretty cack-handed way. And there's some reports, and I need to look properly. You guys cover every, Manchester United news story going, you do it very well, about the sort of staff or the club or players, noticing.
Mortified.
Mortified. Yeah. I don't know how accurate that is, but I hope it's inaccurate. I hope they're not. I hope this doesn't somehow in any way, shape or form affect morale or, the mindset or the feeling around the squad, because it is a multicultural squad. You've got lots of players that are foreign and have come over to play for Manchester United now. They look at it and get offended by what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said. I don't know. I hope not. But either way, it just doesn't help anyone, and it didn't need to happen.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to get Carrick's thoughts on this as the head coach, kind of being asked, because as soon as that Everton game comes around, right, there's going to be questions about it instantly, like what did you make of Jim Ratcliffe's comments, and what did you make what the club put out, and obviously it's another thing that you don't really want to defend as a manager, or like kind of it's tough to have an opinion when he's your direct boss that's above you, especially when you're on an interim.
Yeah, he's kind of in between a rock and a hard place, isn't he, Carrick? Like, what is he supposed to say? Like, slag his boss off and get probably sacked, or defend him, and then all the fans or the people, he gets backlash from that. Like,
tricky one.
He can't win. Like, he can't win at all. But I wanted to ask you about Carrick, Jay. One positive so far of United this season: good record, 5 games, 4 wins, 1 draw. Seen some of the best football we've seen in a while, I would say. West Ham aside, Tuchel's out of the running now. Signed a new contract thing. What camp are you in? Are you of the opinion we just give it to Carrick right now because he's got the players behind him, he's got the supporters behind him, he's doing well, results, he's undefeated? Or regardless of what he does this season, do we have to go big and get a superstar in place as the management to sort of hold the mantle of Manchester United?
Look, if Michael Carrick does something unreal as the caretaker manager, I'd stick with him. When I say unreal, if we were to sort of finish third and, win, I don't know, 10 of our next 12 games, whatever it is we've got left, then you'd probably go, look, is this not the guy that's doing what we need him to do? The only candidate for me that sort of stands out where you feel like if he's available, all bets are off, is Luis Enrique.
Yeah.
I feel like if you get Enrique, I think you've got to try and get him because he's won, is it 2 trebles in different countries, which is pretty phenomenal. And some people might go, well, Barcelona, he inherited a great side and brought great players in, but it's not easy just to win a treble in Spain, and he did it. And then to go to PSG, and again, people go, well, look at the players, look at the money I'd spent. PSG were flattering to deceive for a decade. They had the Mbappes and the Neymars and the players like that, and Lionel Messi was there for a bit, and it never really worked for him. It never clicked. They never managed to get over the line. I know they got to a final under Tuchel, but they were never really the team they should have been. And he came in and he made them that team. And not only did he win the Champions League, but how often do you see a Champions League final end on the 90th minute because the referee's blowing up because he doesn't want one of the teams to get embarrassed any further? I've never seen that before.
Change the philosophy as well, Jay.
The style of play is just
younger players,
sort of tiki-taka Pep Guardiola style that everyone was sort of enamored of, to a more old school, more sort of almost swashbuckling style. Everyone, was so entertaining and effective as well. And his team's, entertained, they work hard. He's got that aura, as the kids say, where you look at him on the touchline, you go, yeah, you can imagine him in the Old Trafford dugout, sort of commanding respect from everyone. So if Luis Enrique is about, I'd have him. I think you'd be mad not to. Yeah. My only question is he available? Can we get him? I know there's talk of him leaving PSG. I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps City, if Pep leaves, wanted him. If Liverpool, if they decide Slot isn't the guy. I know he's won a title there, but they've had a pretty underwhelming season. Certainly, as defending champions, they've been nowhere near the level they should have been. So they might look at it and go, look, if we can get Enrique, get him. And I don't know, he might have a desire to go to Liverpool, or, they might be able to make it attractive for him. So we'll have to wait and see, because there's a few clubs that are going to be in for someone like Luis Enrique, a few big clubs as well. But yeah, if we can get him, do so. If not, unless he does something wrong, I'd be happy to see Carrick get it permanently.
So would Nagelsmann and De Zerbi, did they not tickle the fancy where you're like, because they would both, they are, but well, De Zerbi's available now and Nagelsmann potentially would be available after the World Cup?
I'm just not a big fan of De Zerbi. I think he's all right. I don't think there's anything there on that CV that says to me he's the guy that's going to come in and win United the title. I just don't. I don't see it. I think he's been a little bit emotional and problematic. He's had issues, hasn't he, at a couple of the clubs he's been at, where he's had a bit of a fallout with people and said things he shouldn't have said, perhaps. And I don't know. There's always been a little bit of.
Sounds like you've Ruben Amorim that.
Yeah, he does, doesn't it? It's not like controversy and such where he said anything outrageous and but there's been this idea that he's fell out with people, and I just think he does seem a little bit like
he'd clash with Ineos, 100%.
Yeah, he could be an handful, and like maybe you get away with that. You know, like Jose had that reputation when he came to United, but people were like, "Well, you stomach it because Jose Mourinho's won titles everywhere. Yeah, he's won 2 Champions Leagues. He's one of the best coaches or managers in the world." With De Zerbi, it's like he's acting like a Jose Mourinho, but he's got the sort of the CV of a Sean Dyche. It's not like it's that amazing. It's decent, but it's not unreal. And then someone like Nagelsmann, who does have a good record and has done well. In Germany, is probably a little bit harshly sacked when he was sacked at Bayern, but I don't know loads about him, and I feel like that for some reason to me feels a little bit more of a gamble. Like he could be that guy, he could not be. Like I feel probably if Carrick got us Champions League football, I know this might sound crazy because Nagelsmann's obviously got a much larger CV as a manager. I'd feel a little bit more confident personally in Michael Carrick than I would in Julian Nagelsmann. But yeah, Luis Enrique, if he's available, I think would be the obvious choice and the one that United should be looking at. But if Carrick gets a Champions League football, us three are going to be sat here in 3 months' time saying, give him the contract because we'll all be buzzing because we're in the Champions League and it's someone who came in and took over a team that was underperforming, turned it around, and is a club legend as well. Yeah. What more can you ask for?
I think one thing that's been hugely noticeable since Carrick took over is the individuals that have improved. So the likes of Dorgu on the left-hand side, Bruno being pushed back in his position. He's not improved. He's still been absolute mustard, but just putting players in the right areas. And someone even like Benjamin Sesko, you look at the impact of whilst Ruben Amorim was there, what he did, and then since Carrick's come in, what he's doing, like 6 goals in his last 5 games is something ridiculous. But I felt like, I don't know if you've seen Roy Keane's comments on the overlap and Gary Neville, Jay, about I felt like it was quite harsh in the way he was like, this is what he's expected to do and blah, blah, blah. But then when he was talking about like the Florian Wirtz and these kind of players who just joined the season, it was like, they'll have a bit of time. They'll get there next. For whatever reason it is, I just feel like United pundits, ex-players, they seem to be overdoing it a little bit. I don't know if you're on the same kind of track, if you agree or disagree, but I just thought it was quite harsh from Roy Keane on the young lad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is. It was a little bit harsh because, you had sort of Ian Wright, to be fair, stuck up for Sesko and, stuck up for Gyökeres and I think he's not as good as Sesko. I know he scored a couple more goals, but I think he's taken more penalties as well and played a lot more minutes.
Yeah.
But there's almost this thing with Sesko where, especially Roy Keane does it quite a lot, where you'll make a statement or an opinion on a player and then just stick to it no matter what. Mm-hmm. And the idea that that's your job as a striker. Not many strikers could have took that chance that he took.
No, it was a world class finish.
It was a world class finish, and he made it look relatively easy. You know what I mean? It's like he just guided it into the top
Villa
corner
one as well. The Villa one was a fantastic finish as well.
Fulham.
Sorry, Fulham.
Yeah. Like one touch and then turn and a good finish. So look, Sesko's not been perfect. There was a last minute against Spurs where he should have scored. There's been other games, I think Spurs away where he should have scored, and one or two others. But for a striker coming into the Premier League for this first season, not having a sort of consistent run in the team, having 3 different managers already, and still managing 6 Premier League goals, which is fine. And looking all right, I think, when I watch him, I think there's a player there. Yeah, I do think that some of the ex-United lot are a little bit harsh. And I don't expect Roy Keane to sit there and say, well, now he scored that goal at the London Stadium, he's amazing, and I think he's wonderful or whatever. I don't think that, but I think you can give him credit when he does something well.
Yes.
And I think when you see that goal in the last minute, when you've not been on for 20 minutes he'd been on, and I think he'd had one shot already. I think he looked lively, looked like he was up for it. I think you got to give him credit and go, yeah, okay, I've been a critic of him, but that was really good. That's what I want to see from him. If he carries on like that, he's going to be laughing. Not, comparing it to Ryanair. Like, you get a round of applause in Ryanair. And it's that whole thing in it of like having a go at someone by kind of making a joke and comparing it to something, and everyone sort of laughs, and he's like...
Well, even the Carrick thing, though, as well. Like, he's persistent on this Carrick thing of like not... I don't know why he's got the job. Like, well, in a few months' time, because of them comments back in the day.
Johnny Evans as well. Johnny Evans, he's like, why has Johnny Evans got a job? Like, why is he a coach and stuff?
This is the thing is, right? Roy Keane's been around football for a long time. He knows Manchester United very well, almost as well as anyone does. He was at the club for 13 years, captain for a big chunk of that as well. and he understands how management and coaching works. He's managed at several clubs, and he's had some success, obviously, with Sunderland, and then, with Ipswich, it didn't really work out, and I think he was assistant for the Republic of Ireland and at Villa. So he's been around the game a long time, and he'll understand the reasoning behind bringing Johnny Evans into the fold. It's not like, this whole "I don't get it, why is he there" sort of argument. I don't think it's true. I think he's been a little bit disingenuous, because he was saying, Johnny Evans was, on holiday three weeks earlier, and Johnny Evans has played with some of the players in that squad.
Yep.
Like, he has. He was at the club, as a player last season, the season before. So he'll know them as well as you can know anyone as a player. Not all of them, because he hasn't played with them, Bumo and Cunha and Sesko, but he'll know a lot of them. He's like, he'll know their strengths and weaknesses. Played against a lot of them. Yeah, I've played against some of them, played alongside some of them. Obviously has a good relationship with Michael Carrick, because Michael Carrick must have some say in who his backroom staff are.
Yeah.
So if Michael Carrick didn't want anything to do with Johnny Evans, I don't think the club would force his hand and go, well, you have to have him. So if Johnny Evans is like, Michael Carrick's like, look, I like Johnny. He's a good guy. I get on well with him. I like the way he sees the game. He knows some of his squad. The players respect him. There might have even been a conversation with the players where it's like, look, maybe whether it's Dan Fletcher or whoever, it's like, look, Johnny Evans is going to be joining the coaching staff, and there's a reaction there, or there's a dialogue there. We go, yeah, the players seem up for that as well. You can understand it. Even if you don't agree with it, you can understand it. This whole "I don't get how he's ended up as a coach at Manchester United," it's kind of ludicrous. And even when, like, Gary Neville was pushing back and saying, look, I've worked with Steve Holland. I know how good he is as a coach. I worked with him at England. I've got a lot of time for Steve Holland. He's well respected.
His record speaks for itself. Like, Steve Holland, England, Chelsea, like, it speaks for itself.
And the coaches he worked with as well.
Yeah. And then Roy Keane's again making it into a joke. Oh, this football genius Steve Holland, like, trying to throw a bit of shade at him.
Weird.
I just think there's no need for that. Look, you can question things, and I've questioned things. You lads have questioned things where you go, why are we in a position where we're having to have 3 managers in a season again? Why are we in a position where we're the long-term plan has gone out the window and we're gonna have to start again in the summer? Why are we doing these things? What is going on? I've done that, as we all have, and I think you should do as Manchester United fans, especially with the platforms we've got. But this whole, I can't get my head round why Johnny Evans is in the coach as part of the coaching staff. He's not the manager. They didn't go to Johnny Evans, come in off your holiday and be the manager of Manchester United. They had a manager in as Michael Carrick, who had an experienced coach in Steve Holland, a coach he'd worked with in Jonathan Woodgate, and wanted someone else alongside him as well.
Close relationship.
Yeah, someone who respected who he worked with, who probably saw the game the same way he did, and he went for Johnny Evans. And it made sense to me. And I just think that there's been this trait amongst ex-Reds of having a go at players or coaches, or United players and coaches, more than they would at the clubs. So we saw it with, obviously, Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes with Lisandro Martinez was one, where, again, you make it a joke. Oh, Alan will pick him up and throw him in a goal. But you're having a dig at him, aren't you? It's kind of
it becomes personal rather than analytical.
Personal.
Yeah.
You've had it with Keno and Michael Carrick, and mentioning Michael Carrick's wife and things like that, which is just unnecessary. You've had it with the some of the comments towards Benjamin Sesko, which, again, I think not really needed. I think even Senna Lomans, when he signed, I think Scholes questioned that. Like, there's nothing wrong with questioning things, by the way, but some of it just seems a little bit either personal or OTT, or when these players show you what they're made of, you still don't give them credit.
They double down, don't they? They double down on it. And it's like they made those Leacher comments, and then he had a fantastic performance, shut Haaland down, and then afterwards they're just like, I still don't think he's good enough, though. It's like, he's done exactly what you accused him of not being able to do. So I'm like, I don't...
And then it was like, they had a go at him because he pushed back on those comments, and he was like, they want to come round and speak to me, they can do, and he was doing that at the end of the game. And I think he's every right to look. If he'd have done it before the game, if he'd have gone in the warm-up or put like on Instagram...
Andre Onana with the Man United.
Leon.
Do you remember that?
Like, if he'd have done that before and then dropped a stinker, you might have gone, well, that
idiot,
stupid. Yeah. Have done it. But if you've just put in a very good performance in a Manchester derby where you've kept probably the best striker in the world quiet,
clean sheet as well.
Clean sheet. I think you've got every right to push back on criticism and start saying things with your chest out. So I didn't mind that at all. And you could argue and say, well, they've got a right to push back on what he said, and they have. And I think Scholes, perhaps more than Nicky Butt, was a little bit like almost accepting that maybe they went a bit too far with it, because he kind of said we could have worded it better, where Nicky Butt kind of just doubled down completely. But it's not great. And I just don't get it, because it annoys me, because when you see like a lot of the ex-Liverpool players, they love Liverpool, don't they? They love everything they do. It's all wonderful. Mo Salah's the greatest of all time. Virgil van Dijk's the greatest of all time. Trent Alexander-Arnold was the greatest of all time until he left. Alisson Becker's the greatest of all time. Jurgen Klopp was the greatest, and then it was Arne Slot. Everything is amazing and wonderful, and they're all, this is the greatest player that's ever lived. And it's OTT, and I don't want our legends to be like that, but they're certainly, pro-Liverpool, aren't they? Well, you get Neville and somebody other.
Like, back your team, man. Like, just a little bit. Like,
Neville overdoes it, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then you've got the United lot who go the other way and are just like overly critical, I think, and almost trying too hard to be objective. And I don't think you need to be that objective. If you're someone like Paul Scholes and you spent your entire career at Manchester United, people know you love Manchester United. Yeah. They know you're a United fan and a United legend, a United player, and one of the few, one club men there's been in the Premier League who's been very successful, won 11 titles with us. You can nail your colours to the mast. No one's going to be shocked when you're buzzing United do well, or you're praising a player for playing well for Manchester United. No one's going to be like, why is he doing that? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that sometimes they're just sort of, I don't know. I don't get it, to be honest with you. I don't think there's any need for it. I don't know what I don't get what the reason is behind it. I don't think you might go, is it clicks? Is it views? But do they care that much about clicks?
It just seems like two older guys who've had their time just chatting shit, done it, and they've recorded it and put it out, and they don't really care either way, like whether it goes well or not. Like, they've earned all the money and stuff, and they're just sort of talking, aren't they? That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It is, and I like, look, there's a room for that. I quite like the idea of two lads who've known each other for 30 years or whatever it is, just sat talking like we are.
Yeah.
I think there's something in that. I do. I think it's kind of refreshing. But I also think you need to read the room a little bit. And also, do remember, I liked when McCullough went on the overlap, because he went on the overlap after the Scholes finger came out, and Scholes was there. And he just sort of said to Scholes, like, you have to remember you're Paul Scholes.
The impact of your work.
Yeah, like, I'm not having a dig at you for what you said. You're entitled to your opinion, obviously, and I think some of the outrage over it was OTT or whatever. But, you are Paul Scholes, and this is something you remember. And I think one of the things that I didn't agree with what they said was when they were saying, we had to put up with that when we were players. And I think, but did you have to put up with Bobby Charlton saying you were crap? No. Did you have to put up with Brian Robson saying you weren't good enough, or you're too
seeing
small?
It everywhere on every piece of social media, everything, just all over the place.
You might have had the fans criticising your, shouting at you had a bad game, or a newspaper saying, that obviously Alan Hansen said you can't win anything with kids, but you didn't have a club legend questioning everything about you, or not everything about you, but saying you're not good enough, or you're too small, or you're too weak, or whatever. On a platform that for a fact millions of people have watched, or hundreds of thousands of people. So I think it's slightly different. This isn't just like a pundit or a journalist giving you stick. This is a bona fide United legend saying a current United player isn't good enough, or is about to get himself embarrassed. So I think they have to sort of remember that. And look, they've not been doing it that long, this podcast.
No.
We, us 3 years have been doing podcasting for years, and you might say something and look back and thought that came across wrong. I didn't quite mean it like that. It happens to anyone. It happens to the best of us. And I think they are learning. And I think you can see it even with the flow of the podcast. When I watch it, I think it's getting a little bit better in terms of they're getting more comfortable doing it. And it'll be one of those moments where they might go, this was a thing where we realised that, they might not say it publicly, but they might between themselves say that's something we noticed, that maybe we have to be a little bit more careful how we say certain things, or remember our stature within the club, or remember the fact that players are going to watch this and respond to it. So anything we say, we've got to be happy to say it to their face.
I'll come out and just admit when you get something wrong. Just admit, yeah, I got this wrong. This I didn't get it right, and just then people will be like, "Cool, he said an opinion, he got it wrong. We move on."
Yeah, because if you're sort of niche, or if you call it niches, we're doing this podcast just like two mates sat chatting, which is kind of what they do with them and Paddy McGuinness. then if you're sat chatting with your mates and you say, I don't know about this, a Bumo signing or whatever, don't think he's the guy. And then he bangs in a load of goals. You go, actually, you know what? He is the guy.
Yeah.
I thought he could make a step up, but he's made it up. Got that one wrong. That's kind of what you're doing it with your mates when you're talking. You're like, oh, you know what? I didn't feel like Senna Lomans was the one. I was fuming we didn't get Donnarumma. I thought this guy's never going to be able to do it for United, but he's been a breath of fresh air. You can do that. And I think sometimes they need to do that. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to just pretend that you never said it or double down when it looks ridiculous. You can go, you know what? We got that one wrong. And I think it kind of fits their ethos of being just two lads chatting. I think it fits in well. It's a completely different platform than it would be if you're on Sky. I mean, you can admit you got things wrong on Sky, but it would be slightly different. And I think it's sad when someone like Jamie Carragher, who was very critical of Casemiro, comes out, and you might argue he had no choice because Casemiro's had so many good games this season. He just made Jamie Carragher look like an absolute numpty. But I like the fact he went, you know what, I got this one wrong.
Did the same with Leisha as well, didn't he? He was like, oh, he's too small and stuff, and he came out and said, oh, he's one of the best centre-backs.
Yeah, and then he does the analysis, and forgive Jamie Carragher his credit. I love his analysis of the United games. I think he breaks it down very well. I'm a bit of a layman when it comes to tactics and noticing the sort of intricacies of goals and positions and stuff. And he'll be like, look, this is how this went down. This is what the difference Carrick's done. This is the tactical tweak he's made. This is why this player was so important to this goal and this one was so. And I love stuff like that. I think he does it very well. And I don't watch it going, oh, you scouts were or whatever. You just think he's a guy who's played a lot of football, who's analysed this game, used his knowledge and experience of the game to present it in a way that's easy to understand and pretty entertaining. So I think that it's sad when you're seeing someone like who's played for Liverpool doing the things that ex-United players should do. Because we're blessed in a way. We've got, sometimes it feels like a curse. We've got more Premier League winning legends and success stories that have played for United than anyone. We won 13 titles. We've got players that have won 13 titles, won 11 titles, won 7 titles. Most clubs haven't got that. Some clubs, no club's got anyone that's won 11 titles or 13 titles for starters, not Premier League ones. So, you're going to have all this this pool of experience and players that have won a lot. And I think that it's a shame that a few more of them aren't a little bit more pro-United and using that experience to talk about what it's like playing for United and be a little bit more sympathetic at times to people that play for United.
I just want to bring in a couple of comments from the community. Chivy's in the chat. Big up Chivy saying club statement is just damage control. Lumen saying should give the job if he plays direct football against low blocks and possession football against open opponents. So a bit of tactical flexibility there. He'd lose his napper the second he finds out they're not going to finance him 3 midfielders, a right back, a left wing, and a backup left back. Roy Keane and G-Nev just like to stick it on our players. I've stopped caring about their opinions anymore. It's gotten so bad. I actually listen to Ian Wright and Carragher's analysis over our legends, which is quite a strong comment. Yeah. And go on, Motty. Question for any of the lads. Who would be your ideal candidate, given the likes of Enrique, Nagelsmann, who may be available in the summer? Would it be Carrick or not?
Nick's candidate's gone. Tuchel's gone.
I like Tuchel.
What was it about Tuchel, Nick, that you liked?
Because I looked at the impact that he had on Chelsea as soon as he went in there and how hard they was to beat and how good they was as well. Just that element of pragmatism, which I think we need in certain games. And I think Carrick has brought a little bit of that. But I look at even how Chelsea performed in the Champions League final against Manchester City and the way he set them up to beat a Pep team was just like, I think we need that real tactical steel and someone who's not going to take shit either. But I have to admit, likewise, like, since Carrick's come in, I've loved everything that he's done, man. I love the way he's set up. I love the players that he's put back in comfortable positions. I love how calm he is on the sideline. When I thought of Ruben Amorim in Grimsby game or whatever, like kind of on the side, cowering a little bit. I mean, you want a manager who's going to stand up and make calculated decisions and do it with a composed, level head. And I think Michael Carrick does that, and that's how he was as a player, wasn't he? Yeah. So I will never be against him getting the job if he does really, really well. My issue would be more long-term thinking and thinking, okay, if we get into the Champions League next season and we've got a bigger squad, we've got more games, we're back in domestic cups, how is he going to handle that? Because he's never managed Champions League once on an interim basis. Like, what's he going to do when he comes up against the big managers in Europe? How's that going to go down? And then will the schedule of games as well also conflict him as a manager going forward? So there's a lack of an experience there, but I do like the football that we're playing. It's like some of the best stuff we've seen, isn't it?
It's a good point as well, because I wonder what Ineos' attitude is towards Michael Carrick if he's manager and what it's like to lose Enrique if he's manager, or someone like an Enrique? Because you mentioned Tuchel there, but obviously he's not available now.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to get, we were talking about this on the podcast earlier with the lads, is there a sort of a demand from Luis Enrique that if I come to United, you better get me a squad capable of challenging? You've got a squad that's capable of getting you top 4, presumably we get top 4 when there's no cup competitions because you got knocked out above Miller. But that ain't a squad that's going to challenge for the Champions League. That ain't a squad that's going to win a title. If I'm going to come to Manchester United and I'm going to say no to all the other clubs that want me, and I'm going to leave PSG, I want a squad that is going to challenge. I'm not here to make up the numbers and just turn up in the Champions League and get knocked out in the group stage or the league stage, whatever you want to call it. I want a team or a squad that is capable of going toe-to-toe with City and PSG and Arsenal and the Scousers and Real Madrid. Does he demand that? Do Ineos have to fix up and go, right, okay, we'll give you a 300 million quid budget or whatever, or we'll bring in the players that you need? Does that same conversation happen with Carrick? I don't know. But if it's Carrick, do they look at him differently and go, well, you're kind of almost lucky to get this job, so we're not going to give you 300 million.
It'd be easier to manage for sure.
Yeah, Carrick. We'll give you 2. Or, we'll buy you a couple of players. We'll buy you one big one. Let's say we spend 70 million on Baleba or whatever, for the sake of argument, and then we'll bring in another striker for 30 million, and that's your lot. And that ain't going to be enough because United need a big window because we're going to lose Casemiro, and we need more midfielders now, or next season, than we've got now. Because next season, I cannot imagine a scenario where we haven't got some form of European football. So you're going to need more bodies in that midfield than you've got right now. And if you lose Casemiro, and you probably lose Manuel Ugarte, because let's be honest, he's not, he's
there's question marks over Bruno as well. Like, is Bruno still this question?
I just think that'd be an absolute disaster.
Can't let that many people go, especially the experience.
No. Bruno Fernandes is a phenomenon. And if you were to lose him, I think you've got to go somewhere else and play another 5 years at the top level.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do. I think he would. And then you look at it and go, we let him go. And he went on and played for Milan or whoever till, he was 37. And we let him go at 31 thinking he was done. And he had another 5 or 6 years in him. And the reason I think that is not just because he's a good player, because good players are good and then he gets to 32, 33 and he can fall off a cliff. We've seen it. But the guy is super fit. He's a freak.
He came back from a hamstring in a couple of days. Like, he's mental.
Like, he was training 4 days later or something. You're like, hey? Like, he's never injured, and even when he is, it's like he's like Wolverine. He's like, you know what I mean? He repairs himself quickly. And look at him. Look at the energy he's got. Look at the stamina he's got. I was watching, I think it was the Fulham game. Well, you were all watching it, but it was all, where I am at Old Trafford, I was just sort of noticing him off the ball, especially, and it's the 98th minute or whatever, 97th minute. I think just after he'd scored, and he's chasing everything down. He's running him and Ahmad, I think it was, who were both just energizer bunnies. But you think you're 30 on, you've just covered every blade of grass during this game. You're entering the 98th minute, and you're still going. You're still closing down their defenders and not letting them get out of their own half and putting pressure on them, sprinting for 70, 80 yards to make a challenge. And I just think, this guy is a freak. This guy is one of the most gifted players on the planet. Easily the best number 10 on the planet for me.
Yeah.
Do everything you can to keep him. Make him feel loved. Convince him we're going to challenge for the title next season. Convince him we're not just in the Champions League to make up the numbers. We want to have a crack at it. Back the manager. So we go, look, Bruno, if you're staying, we're going to bring in some players. We've got a manager who believe in, that's Michael Carrick or whoever else. And we're going to go for it. And if you want to win titles, you can do it here.
Yep.
Because I just think you need to get, and like you just said there, if you used to lose Casemiro and Bruno, and then have European football, potentially Champions League football next season, you're in serious trouble. You need to go out and spend about 200 million quid on midfielders, let alone anything else.
You need to do on the midfield what we did on the attack in this last summer. You need to go out and just rebuild it.
You'd have to go out and try, and it probably won't happen, but you'd have to try and get Wharton and Anderson and fucking Baleba.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you need a sprinkle of experiences. So, like Arsenal, they'll sign a Jorginho or a Norgard or something like that.
That's a shout.
I think if you're going to get rid of, especially if Maguire goes, there's conversations around that, you need a spine of experience in there.
it's so difficult now as well, because when you're United, like, and you're right, I completely agree with you about experience, but you're kind of limited in a way into what clubs you can get players from. Like, any club that's sort of got real aspirations of challenging for the Champions League or in the Champions League, it's hard to get one of their players, because it's like they want them, they want to keep them for their Champions League camp. Like, so, for example, in the past, United had gone out and would have gone, right, we'll take Berbatov off Spurs, or
we
we'll
just
get
took everybody's best players, didn't we?
We'll get Cole off Newcastle, or we'll get Van Persie off Arsenal. That ain't gonna happen again. Like, I don't think Manchester United could go to Chelsea and get Cole Palmer off them. I'd love it if we could. I don't think we could. I don't think we could go to. Well, we've never been able to get anyone from Liverpool and City anyway. But I don't think you could go and get someone from one of those top clubs who are challenging. So you have to get players from like the sort of the mid-table, you know, the Brentfords and the Wolves and the teams that we've been getting from, or from abroad. So that sort of changes things for you a little bit, doesn't it? So it's difficult if you speak about experience, because most players that have got a lot of experience, who are really good, are playing at one of the top teams.
Can I mention an example?
Go on.
Someone who I've been a massive fan of this Premier League. Sorry, Sam, I know you wanted to get into things.
That's fine.
Granit Xhaka, 15 million quid. I look at the money, and I know it's slightly different. I know, Sunderland play a different way, but I look at the impact that he's had on that team in the midfield for 15 million quid. I would much rather go for a signing like that than splurt 50 million quid on Ugarte, in my opinion.
Well, you know what? It's a great point, because if you go back to Ten Hag's first season, I honestly thought Christian Eriksen was just going to be making up numbers.
Yeah.
I thought he might end up playing 15, 20 games this season, and he ended up playing about 50.
Yeah.
I think I might.
Class in the first season as well, really.
Yeah. Like, he was such an effective player, especially till he got that injury. I think
True signing.
Really.
Signing.
He was a free, and he'd been at Brentford, and he
which
came
we
in.
didn't do. We never do true signings. So.
No.
Yeah.
And he, and it's a win-win, because even if he don't work out, he's cost you a bit of wages, but it's not like you spent 50 million quid on it. So there's value there. I get what you're saying completely about getting experience. The difficulty you've got is players with experience that are available that you can get, that are willing to come. It's not easy. It's doable. You just got to shop around. You really have.
We've got 12. Is it 12 days now? Or are we 11 days without a game?
12, I think it is.
12 days without a game. Which for United, Jay, is a little bit unusual, because normally we're in a competition or we're doing something. But Amram decided, fuck all that. I'm not going to qualify for Europe. I'm going to knock us out of both cup competitions. Let's just concentrate on the league. How does Paddock deal with like big gaps in between games? Like, in terms of sort of content, how do you sort of come up with ideas for podcasts and shows that where you're not repeating the same old shit and just trotting out, oh, we should manage your beat, or show this stuff? I know your contact list is a bit more star-studded than ours. Like,
I don't think so. You guys get the similar journalists on that we get. I'll tell you what, I'm always impressed with the caliber.
We're going to have a celeb next year, you.
Yeah. No chance. I'm scared.
You're working for TNT and stuff now, mate. Your contact list is
big
getting
time.
Big time up there. Like,
you're
going to have Owen Hargreaves and all that sort of stuff on now soon.
You get paid for work.
There you go. But yeah, it's just interesting how you keep it fresh for like audiences and people watching and stuff, because we struggle with that. Like, during like international breaks, for example, it's like, fucking hell, like, we need to come up with some ideas and stuff like that. We really struggle, but especially during the middle of a season where everybody else is playing. Like, how do you approach it?
I think there's loads of different ways we do. It's a good question, because we have these conversations all the time. We had one today. I think you can do more analysis, explain a bit. We like them. Joe's very good at doing them. Mm-hmm. So we've got one coming out this weekend on Saturday that he's working on. So you might look at a certain player or certain aspects of Manchester United and do something on that. There's always scope for some form of debate and discussion around something. It doesn't have to be sort of geared towards a particular game, but it can be, about the manager or Ineos or whatever. There always is something like that. A big thing for us as well. You mentioned the contact list, and I know you're sort of joking, but it's a fair point. Look at who we can get in, who we can speak to, because there's certain journalists. A great example, I think, of someone who is ideal regardless of whether there's a game on the horizon or not, is someone like Carl Anker. We've had Carl in. legend, get his tactics board out, and he can tell you why, you know, I don't know, Lisandro Martinez is essential to Michael Carrick ball, or why it's time to start recognising just how good Kobe Mainoo is or whatever. And he'll give you an angle and then explain about, Jesus, I thought I knew it, but I don't. Like this guy. And that's not necessarily, you know, dependent on a game. He can come in any time and do that. So contacts help, doing those interviews, those podcasts with different guests, explaining, you know, different explainer videos, almost like mini docs kind of thing. But it can be a challenge, but it's one that you welcome. You know, we're lucky because, like yourselves, you got your own channel, you got a blank canvas, you go, okay. And the obvious sort of question I always ask myself is, what do I care about? What do I want to watch? What would I watch right now? What is something that's interesting me? Or, you know, what is a topic that I'm talking about with my friends or in the group chats or with you guys or on online or whatever? And that's the obvious thing where you go, okay, everyone is talking about, has Benjamin Sesko turned a corner? Or is Gary Neville's criticism of Benjamin Sesko, you know, or Roy Keane's criticism of Benjamin Sesko harsh? You could say that one step further. Do United ex-players have an issue with the current squad? Are they becoming, you know, are they becoming a net negative? Things like that. It just sort of opens it up, doesn't it? Where you almost rush and doll it, where it's like one topic leads to another leads to another. Yep. So it can be a challenge. I mean, I think there was a time, the worst one was, I might be getting my dates. It wasn't, COVID was bad, but COVID we just started the channel, so there was a little bit of excitement and all the rest of it. Yeah. But there was a time when I think the Queen died, so we played, I think, Sociedad the day she died.
They cancelled the game, didn't they?
Yeah, so we played Sociedad the day she died because it was literally she died 3 hours before kickoff. So we were like, well, we're not going to cancel the game when.
Was it Villa at the weekend?
I can't remember. I think there was Villa, it might be Villa or Palace, I think. Away. I might get it wrong. So there was we had one game. I think we had a gap anyway. I think there was an international break on the horizon. We had one game that we were due to play, and then because the Queen died, that got cancelled. So it went from having one game in like 2 weeks to one game in 4 weeks or something. Because there was like a 2 week gap of mourning or whatever. And that was like a struggle because I think it was relatively early in the season. You haven't really got going yet. It's not like the back end of the season where you're going, okay, is it going to be Champions League or are we going for the FA Cup or, you know, are we in a title race or whatever? It was literally like the season's, I think we're about a tenth of the way through the season. We don't know what the season's going to look like. And then we haven't got loads to talk about in terms of fixtures, games, you know, players, what they've been doing. So that was tough. That was one where you're like, this is a slog. And, you know, you feel it, you can tell. Some you might come up with an idea that you think's fucking great. Everyone's going to love it. You do it and the response is lukewarm. You've done it. We've done it a few times where, oh, this is great, I love this. You spend loads of time on it as well. It might be like almost like a documentary kind of thing. And then it does, you know, barely any views and you're like, why the fuck did we bother with that? On the flip side, we've had ones where, you know, we didn't expect much from it. And then, you know,
I love the Glazer one that you guys did. I really, really
do you know, I'm glad you said that. I think that's our pin video. That was one of those where we went, look, it's not all about views. Honestly, views keep the lights on and it does matter. But we're like, this is a video we want to make and we want to do it properly. And we went through a bit of a sort of process with that. We didn't just, you know, make it quickly and put it out. We went back and forth. There was a lot of discussions between us all. Different things were added and taken out, and there's feedback, and the editor works with us, and it was like, right, okay, can you take this out? Can you add this in? Obviously, Scotty did the voiceover, and we put a lot of time and effort into it because we felt that was a video that we wanted to do and wanted to do it well, and it was evergreen. That could, you know, you could watch that in 50 years and it'd still be relevant. So that was one where we were sort of, you know, proud of, and we put a lot of effort in, and we knew that had it not done well, I'd have been gutted because I thought it deserved an audience, but I wouldn't have been like, it wasn't all about, let's see how many views it does. It was something that you go, that's a good vid, and that's why we stuck it as our pin vid, because we're like, if you're gonna,
the Andy Cole
my favourite video,
that was I really enjoyed that.
My favourite. It's funny that because Andy Cole's one of my heroes. I love Andy Cole, and I'll tell you a story about that. I think it was McCall who spoke to his agent about a charity thing he was doing. And Maka was like, could we chat to Andy? And I remember me and McCall were talking. I said, look, if you're going to get him in person, because we've done him before on Zoom. Steve did him on Zoom, and it was a bit of a car crash. Because
I was going to say, when I've watched it, he's not as engaging online.
It's not the same though either. Like I much prefer doing it in person.
The thing we did when we did him on Zoom, I can't remember. I think it might have been for like the 99 game or whatever. Yeah. And he was like, because he wasn't playing, because he'd not been well. I think he was like one of the coaches. So he'd done a load of media that day, and we had him on Zoom at the end of the day, and he had a space background on his Zoom. And when he leant back, his head disappeared. And like it was just, and Steve was trying to get him to lower his laptop, He didn't get it, wasn't work. Like it was just one of those where it just starts off a bit awkward, and you're like, "Oh, sack it."
That's Chivy on this channel, mate. Honestly, every time his head's like here, like at the bottom.
Like, just not aware that we're live. Are we live?
Sometimes
right
you don't even know.
Yeah, we're recording, mate. Yeah.
And it had been a bit of a borderline disaster. I mean, it's still all right, but not anywhere near what it should have been to get one of the greatest ever players the Premier League scene, and it wasn't what it could have been. So I said to Michael, like, look, if you can get him in the studio. Let's get him in our studio, even if he's in London. If he's in London, we'll see if we can get a studio in London.
Yeah.
And he was in London. I think he's moved to London, or he was in London, whatever. So obviously Steve works for Rio, and we spoke to Rio's agency, New Era, and was like, look, can we use your studio? They've got a studio that looks just like ours.
Yeah.
So can we use that one? And they were like, yeah. So we managed to make it to arrange a date. So me and McCall went down there with one of our producers, and then Andy Cole arrives, and what sort of worked well was we get there, we're chatting to him, it was fine, he was all pleasant, he wasn't particularly chatty, and he wasn't cold, he was just okay. And then just as we were about to record, he said, I'm hungry. I'm like, actually, I'm hungry. But he said, it's all right, I'll wait. So he said, no, sat that. We'll get something to eat first. So we just got like some croissants and muffins or whatever, and had a coffee. But during that time when we were having a scrum, we were chatting and we were having a laugh. It got on certain topics and players and pundits and stuff and funny things. And obviously me and McCall are fanboys as well, and we knew loads about him and certain things that and you could see him just getting more open and having a laugh with us. And then we're like, right, after sort of 20 minutes, whatever, let's do this. So we did the podcast, and he's great. Like he's mint. He gets deep when he talks about being ill.
Yeah,
his missus leaving him when he was ill, and thinking he might not make it, and all the rest of it, and quite shocking and heartbreaking. And then his career, not getting his flowers, getting annoyed at people comparing him to Darwin Núñez. Mm-hmm. Or not getting annoyed at like the fact that Haaland had broken all these records and they were his records, and not people only mentioned them because they were being broken, and yet he'd held those records and no one had spoken about them until they got broke.
Everyone talks about Alan Shearer, but never.
Yeah, and it was they both got the same amount of goals, which was and Cole had done it without penalties as well. So if anything, he deserved more flowers than Alan Shearer. But it was like, I remember seeing it once and it said Haaland breaks Shearer's record. I was like, well, it's Shearer and Cole's record. You can't have it both ways. So we were chatting for ages, and it got to the point, and because me and Macca were like fanboys, remembered certain goals and his career, and I'd read his book and stuff. So you've got that knowledge where you're like, and he's like, impressed that you got it, singing his song back to him. I think we knew his song better than he did. We knew them. I don't think he remembered half the lyrics we did, because we both, I think I gave it McCullough as a copy of it. And he'd already had it when he was a kid, and I gave him another one because I had one, because I found someone. One. So it was just mint. And it got to the point where I'm thinking, and I never thought this would happen, I need to wrap this up. I need to sort of end this at some point, because we've been talking for almost 2 hours. We can't forever. Well, if it had been up to me, I'd have carried on talking until he said, right.
The camera card's getting full. You're like, I've got no more.
Like, you know what I mean? We've missed all our trains home because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, so I'm thinking, we have to stop this. So I wrapped it up. I was like, Cole, I could talk to you for another 5 hours, but we need to let you go at some point. And what I liked about this, and I've got to give credit to McCall for this because it was his idea, this bit, was we'd asked him about Harry Kane. United had been linked with him. Could we get Harry Kane? What do you think he could do at United? Who do you think we should get as a striker? We were linked with a few others. And then when the video ended and we looked at it, because it had been about his career, and what was good as well, I remember quite a bit of his Newcastle career because I was like 14 when he was at Newcastle and I loved him when he was at Newcastle, even though I didn't like Newcastle. He just kept scoring every week and hat-trick at Anfield. And I was like, oh my God. So he said, let's take out the Harry Kane bit. Let's take out the reference to transfers and modern United and, anything that you go, oh, Andy Cole says Harry Kane would win the title at United or whatever. And let's just make it about his career at United.
Take the clickbaity.
What get rid of all that.
Would get on.
You don't need that. We're not interviewing, no disrespect to him, but Russell Bairdmore or someone who people don't, you know what I mean? You're interviewing someone who is a legend, and I don't use that word lightly.
He won the treble.
Scored over 180 goals in the Premier League. Only one of them was a penalty. I absolutely smashed it. Let's just talk about him. And, I think we went with the title like disrespected and just highlight the fact that he was disrespected. And the response was amazing. And it was like, actually doing that was like a proper pinch me moment because you're sat there with someone I absolutely adored as a player. And you're having a laugh with him and you're chatting to him about everything. And your players do this. This is why Carell does really well, Carell Prince on HMRC, because players forget things. And some players chat shit and make things up. And, I played against Zidane. They know they didn't. But a lot of players, just games mold into one and they forget. And it's like they think they played, alongside a player and they realise it was actually they played it against him or whatever. And there's times when, you're reminding Cole of things he'd almost forgot about. Mm-hmm. So like, or I remember I was at the game when you did that, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Do you know what I mean? You're almost giving him a little prompt to sort of talk about
memory lane
things. Yeah. And it isn't. These are probably a lot of these are topics and an era and stuff he doesn't talk about that much.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good because the big thing about Andy Cole one, I don't want to do it too much, but what thing I really loved about it was I was really angry about Glenn Hoddle and the way he treated Andy Cole. And I remembered what Glenn Hoddle said at the time about him needing 5 chances to score a goal. And I remember saying to Andy Cole, he scored 40 goals in a season. So the argument that if you took all your chances, you'd have scored 200 in a season is nonsense. Like, that's just idiotic.
Yeah.
And he was like, he agreed. He's like, this is the point I used to make. He's like, I think your record speaks for itself. And have you ever known a striker who scored 40 odd goals in a season, 187 Premier League goals, 30 goals in a season for United, whatever it was, 28 in a season for United, won the treble, who gets questioned about the amount of chances he takes? You could score, right? Genuinely, a striker this season could score 14 Premier League goals and he'd make the World Cup squad for England. Yep. Like, genuinely, that could happen. Yeah? An English striker could score 14 goals in Premier League and end up on the plane to...
Well, they're talking about Danny Welbeck going, aren't they? And what is he on, like 11, 10?
Yeah.
Even at Watkins 15, 16.
Yeah. And I'm not having a dig at these players. My fault. No. I love him. But that could happen. And you had someone like Cole who would be dropping 30, sweaty, whatever, in a season, winning the title, who wouldn't make the plane.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like, what we doing here? Do you know what I mean? The guy had, I think, 13 England caps, and I think 11 of them were as sub.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did that happen? How did a player of that caliber, that consistent, that prolific, that effective, end up with fewer England caps than I don't know,
any striker, Peter Crouch,
probably not
Defoe,
like Defoe or Darren Bent or whoever.
Yeah. I'm sure Darius Vassell was playing for England up top for so long.
In tournaments.
Yeah.
Andy Cole, I don't even know he went to a tournament. I don't think he did. Like, it's insane to me. So when you're talking to someone and they can see you're angry about it, and you get it, and you're quoting the stats and the things, and they're like, it was really good. It was really enjoyable. And I remember going to Old Trafford day after it came out, a few days after, and loads of people stopping me going, "Oh, Jay, I watched that with Andy Cole," because a lot of people my age loved him as well. So a lot of people, and some of the younger fans was like, "You know what? I didn't realise how good he was." Because you don't hear it. You don't, you turn on the Premier League or the BBC, Alan Shearer's there all the time, and people will tell you how good he is. Ian Wright's on so many platforms that people know he was a very good player. Andy Cole doesn't do lots of media and doesn't get his flowers. And I think it was sad. So, yeah, that was just probably the most enjoyable interview I've done. And, one of the ones where you kind of like, can't believe we got so lucky to do it for so long as well.
And the fact that you guys built yourselves up to that moment as well was just, like, it's something we dream of. We were speaking about this.
Well, as you say, lads, you say you dream of, like, you're smashing it. People love authenticity, and you guys are authentic. And I think, your socials are absolutely amazing. I think you're really on point with your socials as well. So, you look at how far you've come. What is it, 35,000 subs now?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's no mean feat. The space that we work in, that we're in,
tough.
Is so saturated now.
Yeah.
Like, I've never known anything like it.
Like,
there's at least 10 watch-alongs on a match day. Isn't there?
No.
It's why we don't do them.
Yeah.
I don't believe, I remember when there was 2, or none. I'm old enough to remember when, YouTube, you couldn't get a watch-along on YouTube. Now, there'll be genuinely about 10, probably more. And some of these are big platforms as well. These aren't just, your man in a bedroom on his phone with 4 subscribers. Some of these are like 1 million followers, 500,000 followers, 200,000 followers. Like, big hitting channels, loads of watch along. I use a watch along as an example because that's loads of people covering the same topic at the same time.
Yeah.
We do the news in the morning, and we moved it a couple of times. It was like first we did it 9, and it's like, you know what, 11:15 suits us. But before, after, and during our news, there's other channels that are live and doing stuff, and it's just the nature of the beast. It's very saturated, so it's not always easy to come into this environment at the time that we're in now and get the guests you get the recognition you get the subs you get. It's not easy, that, because there's so many people doing it. It's very difficult to stand out from the crowd. And what I love about you guys, I watched your first video. I was on one of your early videos, and the video today, nothing's changed.
Don't remind us about the first video.
But you know what? It was good, and it was you, and you were authentic. You weren't sat there doing it in a Cockney accent, looking, saying you wanted to, burn the club down or whatever. Like, you've not changed. You've got better at it, with all due respect, and I think you're more comfortable on camera.
No, I agree.
That's the same with me. You go back to my early Devils days, and you could tell it was like, So I think that, you got to give yourself credit, and I think, you've stuck to your guns, kept doing what you're doing. And that's why, listen, I know Laurie and Kieran Maguire and the people you've on, they don't give a shit how many subs you've got. They care about the reputation, the caliber of the channel. I know these guys, they're my friends, yeah? I know that, and I know how they think. They're not going to go on a channel if it's
clickbait nonsense.
Shit. Yeah. Laurie Whitwell said United are going to fucking sign, Haaland. What? I didn't say that. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do that. So the fact that those people are willing to come on your channel says a lot to you, man. It's a good sort of barometer of how well you're doing.
I wanted to end the show just by asking you, have you got anything planned for the 1 million subscribers? Because it's on the horizon. I had an idea, maybe, don't shower until you hit it. You've seen all these trends going off at the moment. So,
do you know what? Just on that.
Don't shave your head, Jay. Until you hit it.
Well, someone said to me about Frank. Cause I feel a bit sorry for Frank because he's getting a lot of stick.
Getting in the neck.
We had him on the channel a few months ago.
Nice lad.
And he's a nice lad, right? You might not like what he's doing. Or
he started off as a joke, and it's just sort of ballooned up, and people have a go at him. I'm like, come on.
Like, people saying he's the reason we didn't get to 5 in a row, right?
Crazy, isn't it?
Carrick's like that, for fuck's sake. Like,
right, when that ball bounced up, Luke Shaw was going to edit it away, but he let it bounce because of Frank's Barnett. He was thinking about Frank in his hair. It's ridiculous. There's no way a guy who lives in Spain's Barnet is affecting the Manchester United players. I get that it's become a bit of a sideshow with Carrick getting asked about it. And I've spoke to Frank about that, and I'm like, this is nuts. And he's like, I know. But I think he's feeling it because he's getting trolled a lot.
Yeah.
And he is a nice lad. And it is a bit of a shame because it was a bit of fun when we had him on. We spoke about it and it was harmless fun, and now it's become a thing. You got Rooney saying he should go to the other end of the country and all that, and it's not nice as a United fan.
They're asking Carrick in press conferences about it. Like,
it's kind of minging. So I do feel sorry for him. And I don't know. I think the ideal thing would have been that West Ham game because Carrick comes in, wins 5 in a row.
And it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
And now I know probably people won't be sympathetic because, you know, he's getting something out of it, but you're in this sort of difficult scenario, I suppose, if it's like, do you just bottle it and cut it off?
Yeah.
And go sack it, you know what I mean? Or do you keep going with the original thing you were doing? And he's probably got, I presume he's got some brand deals that might be like, look, you know, we wanted to be there for when United gets to 5 in a row. And, you know, listen, we can all say we've got, you know, scruples. I'm not saying he hasn't got scruples, but if you've got a lot of money on the table, it might be difficult for him to say no to that. So, yeah, I do feel for him. It has become a little bit of a thing, hasn't it?
Paddock hot tub stream for the $1 million. What about that?
I mean, that'd be funny, that, because you know what I do, right? We'd get to $1 million, we'd do the hot tub stream, and then we'd lose like 40,000 subs.
You just have
and you'd be like sat there
it.
going, you go,
it's going down.
No, 997.
Oh, shit.
No, 983.
Every time you stood out of the hot tub, it goes down.
Turn it off.
We're down to 500,000. So maybe not, but look, it's a little bit on the horizon. It's probably not going to be for a couple of years yet. We'll keep doing what we're doing. We love doing what we do. We love chatting to you guys. You guys have both been on the channel, and we appreciate that as well. So, hopefully,
live show in Manchester when you hit $1 million.
Do you know what? Right, I want to talk to you guys about this, and we'll do it on camera now.
I'd come to that.
We'll do it on camera right now.
Hopefully, we can get you involved. Hopefully, because it's annoying. Because one of the best nights I've had on them when my kids have been born was when we spent some time with Wayne Rooney, and we went to the Lowry because my mate Kay Curd, who does Rooney's podcast.
Carl was telling us about it. He was there as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, Carl Anker was there, so it's just perfect. So Kay says to me, "I'm performing at the Lowry. Do you want, and you and the lads want to come down? I'll get guest list and all that." I remember him saying, he said, "Oh, Rooney's going to be there," and I remember thinking, right. That's meant that Rooney's going to be there, but who gives a shit? I'm not going to be sat with him. Like, it doesn't affect my life.
You're going to be looking around for him. Like,
like, okay, somewhere in this room is Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but what does it matter to me? So, and he said, we'll meet up afterwards. So the show finished. Very funny. Brilliant. So it's just me and McCullough who went in the end. And we came out of the...
I bet Joe was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he went apple picking. That's why he couldn't go. He has apple day, him and his family. So the apples he got were great.
Absolutely not bad.
Yeah, he went apple picking. So we came out of the screen, or not the screen, the theatre. So we're still in the building with Larry. And I'm like, Mac is like, what we're doing now? I was like, I saw Kay send me. I'll ring him. If you answer. So I rang him and he's like, yes. I said, I'm here with McCullough. And as I was talking, I think Carl came up and said, well, Carl's here as well. He's like, yeah, we'll all wait there. My manager's going to come and get you. So he comes and gets us. And he says, I'll bring you to backstage. So I just thought, great, we're going to see him and tell him how funny he is and, thanks for the tickets, whatever. Get to his dressing room. As you walk in, Rooney's there, right? Just stood chatting with him. And the best thing about it was, Rooney there's a few of us who walk in. Because there's Carl and a few others as well. We sort of picked up a few other people along the way. And by the time we got to his dressing room, there was like 5 of us, whatever. And Rooney shakes everyone's hand. And when he sees McCullough, he gives him a hug. Because he's worked with McCullough before. He loves McCullough. Yeah. He genuinely does.
Been on his pod as well, on BBC. I've seen.
Yeah, and that was Wayne Rooney's get you on. He's got a lot of time with McCullough because McCullough's always going on about how great Rooney is, and Rooney's seen some of this, and he fucking loves him. And then because I'm with McCullough, and I just think I catch a stray of him hugging me as well, which I was buzzing about. I don't think he barely knew.
What did he smell like?
Oh, amazing!
Better than Cantona?
No, don't be silly.
I'd expect it to smell like mud. I don't know why.
No, he just no. He's a rarity. The Scouser that smelt really nice. So. You know what I mean?
Didn't smell of stolen clothing.
Didn't smell of theft.
Yeah.
And so we're chatting, and then I remember Macca had said to me, "I'm going to ask him if he wants to come for a drink with us afterwards." And I just thought he ain't going to say yeah, but he said, Macca said, "Do you want to go for a drink?" What he said, "What you saying, Wazza? Are you going to go for a beer or what?" And he went, "Where are you thinking?" So Wazza was like, Macca was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, so I said, because it's Lara, I said, "The Alchemist is over the road." Oh. Well, I said, "We could go to that posh gaff, the Alchemist." And Rooney's like, "It's not posh." He went, "It's not posh that." I went, "It might not be for you and your money, but it is for me." Yeah.
I'm disappointed you didn't say the Spinners, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I just thought, because
I was in town. Anyone?
Yeah. Well, Macca was saying things that were quite far away because he don't know Manchester. So he's looking on his phone and he's saying like, "Oh, we could go here," and then it's like the other side of town. And Rooney, like, I thought he don't want to fucking, have to go to the other side of
Get on the Metrolink.
Let's get the Metrolink, go to Spinning Fields.
Yeah.
So we just jumped in Alchemist. As we're walking to the Alchemist, Tyson Fury video called him. So he's video calling Tyson Fury, who's just like having a chat with him. And then Rooney eventually says, "I've got to go. My mate's going for a drink." So then we went in the Alchemist. And there's like me, there's Macca, there's Carl, there's two lads from Rooney's podcast, two producers. And honestly, lads, it was like chatting to someone you've known for years.
Yeah, that's great.
There was no airs and graces. There was no ego. There was no filter. He was telling us all sorts. Nice. He was just chatting like, and what I loved about it was he obviously trusted us to tell us things, to chat to us, and just say, this happened, and I remember this one, and nothing like terrible or anything like that. But there's a level of trust there because Carl's a journalist. For God's sake, Carl could have been like,
basically,
let me write this down. Or I could go on a podcast tomorrow and go, "Guess what Wayne Rooney told me." None of that.
If you want to see that exclusive content, it'll be on our members video.
Members video. What Rooney told me. Just dead chatty, friendly, funny. And we were there for like an hour, which felt like 2 minutes.
That's cool.
And it was just, it was mint. Because Kay couldn't come with us. Kay had to go. He had to go back to London or something.
Yeah.
So he wasn't there. But yeah, it was just fantastic. And when you get things like that, you just think you're very lucky, like fortunate. Because I never normalize it. Like when you chat to legends and stuff, I'm always like, I'm very fortunate to be in this privileged position to chat to these people and do like, what I'm doing.
Yeah. Me and Sam feel that the same way. You mentioned about yourself, like we're very lucky, and you've helped us out, significantly throughout the years. So very grateful for that. And you mentioned before about the Andy Cole thing, having to cut the interview short. I never want to do it. I can talk for absolute years. I genuinely could, because it never feels like a podcast. It always feels like a conversation, and I feel like they're the best ones. But really, really appreciate your time, Jay. What's Paddock? What's coming up now? You mentioned the 13 days, the gap that we've got. Anything big coming up on the channel? You mentioned before Joe's working on a video potentially.
Yeah, Joe's working on an explainer video. I'm not trying to be like coy about it. I can't remember which one it is, but it's Joe and his explainer videos. Yeah, it's always good stuff. So you can look out for that. We've got the brew tomorrow, me, Steve, Joe, and a guest. I think we've got a guest for that one. And we'll just be, sort of having a bit more of a debate, waiting for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to make his next comments. So, you never know. There's never a dull moment at Manchester United, is there?
No, never is.
It never ends. Every time we think, we've got nothing to talk about, something will happen, and like, there we go. That's the show sorted.
Yeah. Before I head off, just a quick on the screen there for you guys. If you want to check out any of our merchandise, which we've just released, there are hoodies, caps, and mugs. Please do go check those out. The link is in the description, and also over on our Instagram as well. And drop us a follow on socials if you can. Subscribe to Paddock. I know a lot of you guys who are in the chat already do subscribe to Paddock anyway, but if you don't, please do go subscribe over there. Check Jay out on socials. And Jay, always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, lads. Good stuff.